Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing good today. Well, today I'm going to show you my method of composting in place, or it can be called the trench method. And I do it a little bit different than if you Google them terms, the description of how to do it. And so we're going to show you that. But the there's two really big things that I want to share with you that you need to understand if you're going to try to compost in place compared to just doing a regular compost bin. And it all has to do with um, keeping the balance in your soil. And so we're going to go over a few things that I'm going to use today and to kind of understand how you can keep that balance in your soil and why it's so important. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So if you're not familiar with the terms, composting in place or trench method, if you go to look these up, what it's going to tell you is you dig a hole or a trench, and the materials that you would normally use in a compost pile, you're just going to bury them, and then you're going to cover them up with 6 to 8 inches of dirt, and you're going to let that decompose, and that's where you put your plants. Now, here's the first kind of big difference between a more traditional compost pile and composting in place, and that is your carbon to nitrogen ratio. In a normal pile, you want about a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. Well, after you turn it and you do everything, and if it turns out good, it should be down to about a 25-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. Now, in your soil, the microbes, they feed, when everything is good in there, they want a 24-to-1 ratio. So when I go to do this, and I'm going to show you kind of how I figured out, to lower my carbon, you don't want to add as much carbon as you would in a normal, compost pile. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to do here. Okay, before I get started, if you watch this video and you like it and you find value in it, please consider subscribing. I would appreciate it, and it is free. So what I've got is I've dug this trench, and I've got some kitchen scraps here, and I'm going to plant my pumpkins in this area this year. Now, I did this last year. One of my pumpkin plants, I grew it in nothing but just kitchen scraps. It turned out okay, but after doing some reading, a little bit of studying, I think I can make it even better. And so I'm going to explain that, and then I'm going to show you kind of what I'm going to do different as far as the trench itself than what I did last year. So let me show you what I'm using. All right, so mostly what I have is I have a lot of banana peels, a lot of potato peels, and coffee grounds, and that makes up the majority of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread it around in this trench. And I'll spread this out. I got a couple banana stickers I got to get out of there, but and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put dirt on top of that, but I'm not going to cover it. And let me explain why. Okay, so if we were to follow the description that I read on what composting in place is, I would go ahead and take that dirt and I would just cover this completely up. Now, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I am going to take this dirt and I'm going to mix some in there. Now, normally I would go ahead and put some in and till that in and just mix it up real good. But because we've had so much rain, there's no way I could ever till this. But I want that oxygen to get in there. I think that's what, when you cover that up, I just think it's going to take a lot longer to decompose. One part of composting is oxygen, letting it, as you turn this, I think it's just going to break down a lot faster. Now, one of the things that I messed up on last year is I made my trenches very deep, and so I didn't do that this year. If we would have had a real bad rain or something early in the year when I first planted my pumpkins, it could have rotted them. So I got lucky there, but I'm going to try to keep these at ground level. Okay, so the second thing that you want to keep an eye on if you're going to try composting in place is the materials that you're using. When you use a normal compost pile, you can kind of keep an eye on it. You can tell if you have too much nitrogen or too much carbon in it. Well, when you put it in the soil, what that's going to do is if you have too much carbon, it's going to immobilize your nitrogen in your soil. And that means that the bacteria and the microbes are going to take that nitrogen that's already in your soil and use it to break down the carbon. Again, if you have too much nitrogen, it locks up your microbes and stuff in the soil where they don't work as well. And it's just going to be a lot harder to tell, whether you have that or not. So what I did was, what I'm trying to get this balance in my soil is banana peels are a 30-to-1. So that's pretty normal. Potato peels are an 11-to-1. And so that's very high nitrogen. Coffee grounds are 20-to-1. Again, very high nitrogen. So I want to try and get this broke down as good as I can for the nutrients for my plants. So I'm going to add a carbon to this. And so what I'm going to use is what everybody pretty much has, and that's leaves. Now, the carbon to nitrogen ratio of leaves varies a lot, but on average, you can figure about a 30-to-1. And so I'm just going to add some in here. And then as I turn it, I'm just going to try and keep, an eye on it and make sure, as long as everything's breaking down and it doesn't get, it just doesn't look real bad, it doesn't smell or something where like maybe there was too much nitrogen in it, I think I should be okay. Remember this, it does not have to be perfect. I'm shooting for close. So, that's some of the things with composting in place or the trench method. If you've never done it, it does save time. I don't have to, carry compost out to my garden, and the worms are going to come in here and they're going to work this over. So that's a big benefit to having these organic material already in your garden. Well, let me know what you think. Please, I love the comments, and please share. Well, that's the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later. See ya.